guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, welcome if it's your first time here. I know everyone's sick of hearing about World War III. We've heard about this so much on all these prepping channels for 3 or 4 years now, ever since Russia invaded into Ukraine. We've been hearing wars and rumors of World War III breaking out at any moment. But it's obvious to see that's what's going to eventually happen. They're working up to it. And I don't think it's going to be much longer. I would say by the end of this year, we'll be in full-blown World War III. And the reason for this is something a lot of people aren't talking about. And what it is that the crumbling G7 countries, United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Italy, Japan, are losing power. They've had this hegemony for decades where they've dominated world events, dominated the currency, dominated the trade, and they are losing that hegemony now to the BRICS nations, headed by Russia and China. And they don't want to give that power up. So the only option that the G7 has is to go to war. And they can't win, in my opinion, an actual kinetic war either. But that's their plan. They think they can somehow pull this off and win over the BRICS nations and gain that hegemony back that they're obviously losing now. And we have China and Russia and their BRICS nations have been waging, an economic war because they see how the United States policy against other countries works, sanctions and things like that, and stealing currency and cutting people off in the SWIFT system and trying to control that economic growth in these other countries and trying to shut these other countries down economically. So they've been putting systems in place to remedy that, and they pretty much have succeeded in that because now sanctions don't have near the fear factor to Russia and these other countries as it once did, because they're pretty much saying, we don't care what you think, we've worked this other system out and we can do what we want to do. You don't have to bow down to the G7 countries. So that is what it is, guys. You have the G7 that is crumbling because they're losing power. They have maxed themselves out as far as debt goes financially. They have exported a lot of the industry to China, which is crazy in my opinion. And their woke policies has weakened the military. So the United States, Canada, Italy, United Kingdom are all crumbling, and BRICS is rising. And that is why we're seeing all this talk about war, because that is all that BRICS has left is war, or G7 has left is war against BRICS to try to win back their hegemony. And they can't win militarily, in my opinion, but somehow they think that they can pull it off with these joint countries all in World War III, and they think we can come out somehow as the winner and gain that hegemony back. United States at the top, everyone else will follow. And that time has passed. That time has came and gone. However, you have like a trapped, wounded dog, and all it can do is come out biting and fighting. And usually that doesn't work out well for the dog. And right now the United States and the G7, in my opinion, isn't a place for the dog. They are trapped, they're wounded, and they're going to come out fighting physically to try to gain back the hegemony, try to gain back the power and the ability to control and sanction everyone else in the world and make everyone bow down to our will. And the other countries, like I said, that's why BRICS was formed, because China had plans to take over and be the top dominating superpower in the world, along with China and Brazil, India, South America. And now there's, I forgot how many other countries now is wanting to join BRICS. Everyone sees the United States is crumbling, they see the G7 is crumbling, and they see the power now is in the East with China and BRICS. So they're all saying, we got to join with these people because they are gaining more power, more control. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing now. It's been going on for a while. That was what the whole thing with Ukraine, well, not the whole thing, but a lot of it was about. The United States and the G7 countries have been planning on this war with Russia through Ukraine for years now. That's why they put their puppet leader in, Zelensky. That's why they've been building the military up in Ukraine, the Azov Battalion and all the Ukrainian military and SPU forces and things, and the weapons and the training, because they had thought that Russia was weaker than what that it actually was. And they broke every treaty that they've made with Russia. And it didn't start when Russia officially invaded into Ukraine. The war had been going on there for a while, but it had been just kind of back and forth and not really an all-out, get-it-on type of war like we're seeing now. And the United States and the G7 they honestly thought that Russia was a lot weaker than what they were. And they thought, with our help, with our satellites, our commanders, and our super-duper military strategies, that Ukraine could defeat Russia, or at least cause enough casualties and damage that the people in Russia would turn against President Vladimir Putin. That hasn't happened. It's been a long, dragged-out war with lots of deaths, hundreds of thousands of deaths. I think the last I read, like 500,000 deaths, I think it was, approximately, in Ukraine, of Ukrainians, and probably about 250,000 Russians. But Russia has got a more population, more area, more resources, and they are winning. They've pretty much won from everything I have seen on any alternative news. Anyone that knows what they're talking about and will admit to what's actually going on, Russia has won the war. It's just a matter of time now before Ukraine completely crumbles. And we're seeing these G7 countries in Europe talk about conscription, talking about bringing back the draft, talking about going into Ukraine to train Ukrainians. And they did that in Vietnam, if you remember. We had people going to Vietnam before it was officially the Vietnam War, as we know it now, went in as trainers and went in to help the Vietnamese, the South Vietnamese. They went in to help to train, supposedly, but they're already on the ground, fighting during that time. And that's happening right now. But that's what they're saying. They're going to go in. I think it was France. They're going to send military in to train Ukrainians. Not sure how France, I guess, to wave a white flag. We surrender, we France, we surrender. Might teach Ukraine to do that, I don't know. But we see where this is going. And you have United Kingdom, you have Germany, Italy, France. They're all talking about bringing back the draft from kids, 18 years old, to I think like 26 years old, depending on the country. I think that it was. So much coming out, it's hard to keep it all in my brain because it wants to go out one side and one side and out the other the same goes sometimes, especially when it comes to these numbers. But it's 18 to I think like 26 in most of these countries. They want to bring back the drafts and draft everyone in the age group. You have to complete military service, and that's because they know they're going to be into direct war with Russia. And what we're going to see is Europe, UK, France, Italy, Germany, in direct warfare with Russia in Ukraine and in that whole area over there. When that happens, you're going to see nuclear weapons, hyperbaric weapons used by Russia on these forces. The United States will have their hand in this also. However, in my opinion, the United States isn't going to be, the main combative force trying to fight with Russia in Ukraine. And instead, the United States military is going to be fighting with China, in my opinion. So that's going to be two-pronged type of a war situation, just like World War II was. The United States will be in more direct combat with China over Taiwan, more than likely, We're going to see North Korea get involved, in my opinion, and attack South Korea. We're going to see Japan involved also. So it's going to be, the United States, South Korea, and Japan all right there fighting, and Taiwan all fighting against North Korea and China. So it's going to be, like I said, a two-pronged war like we saw in World War II. And the United States has a lot of forces in South Korea. I think like 28,000 troops in South Korea. They have a lot of infrastructure put in, a lot of military force, especially naval forces in that region, or can move to that region pretty quickly. So we're going to see that happen just like in World War II. It's pretty much history repeating itself. So you're going to have the Europe with Italy, United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Ukraine. They think they're going to be able to destroy Russia. United States is going to be trying to destroy China. But North Korea will no doubt attack South Korea. So we're bringing South Korea in, and guaranteed to bring the United States in. We keep seeing about China invading Taiwan, so that's going to happen most likely. I can't guarantee it, but it definitely looks like it. So it's going to be a complete remake of World War II. However, this time it's not going to turn out like it did the last time. The United States and the G7 is pretty much on the side of Nazis, literally, in Ukraine. And we are going to lose that war, in my opinion, this next World War. And it's going to make the United States even weaker, and the G7 even weaker. Instead of the United States trying to compete, bringing back manufacturing, closing the border off, trying to work with these other countries and have a better world working together, hopefully, they want to go to war. And that's what this is all about, because they don't want to lose their power, their hegemony over the world. They want to be able to print currency. They want the rest of the world to accept our debt so we can live at a certain lifestyle here, and the mega wealthy, the government officials, can pocket, a lot of that currency, or at least what they buy with that currency, because they can make insider trading deals and things like that. And they don't want to lose that ability. They don't want to lose that power. And like I said, all they know and all they're going to do is go to war. So this whole thing has been, for the last several years here, has been leading up to this. But like I said, we're going to have Europe, United Kingdom, Italy, France, Germany, and maybe a couple of others there in war with Russia. The United States is going to be in war with China and North Korea, Taiwan, Japan. So it's World War III, or World War III is going to be World War II all over again. However, the Allies has changed somewhat, and the United States this time isn't going to be on the winning end, in my opinion. And it's going to affect us here greatly. We may not see, like a direct attack, nuclear attack from Russia or China in the United States. We could, but we may not. However, we've had the border completely open. And there's been, I think the last I saw, approximately 20,000 military-aged Chinese men coming across the border. No doubt that are affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, probably military that's been sent over here with Pacific jobs to do, Pacific assignments in this country. We're seeing them take, trying to get into military bases. They are seeing what the reaction will be. They're trying to go in, they're using excuses to try to get in, they're trying to sneak in, and they're seeing how much resistance they have. They're trying to find out the weak points so they can figure out how to get in when they need to. It's all going to go quick, in my opinion, when it happens. It seems like it's slow, and it has been over the last few years. When it does start, it's going to be quick. Man, it's going to be in 2 weeks. We'll be in full-blown war with China, more than likely, in my opinion. And it goes all the way back, like I said, because the United States and the G7 doesn't want to lose that hegemony. They want to keep that power. And we can't win economically, and I don't think we can win militarily, but they're going to give it a try. And we're going to see terrorist attacks in the United States because so many people have infiltrated. It's been so easy to come across the border. We'll see terrorist attacks in the United States, and you mess the imports from China, cut that out, cut that off. We're going to be in a mess over here because just about everything we have over here is imported from China, including antibiotics, prescription medications, and things like that. When you look at Walmart, and pretty much everything that's in Walmart comes from China, is imported. And you cut those imports off, we don't manufacture much in the United States at all. Also, Taiwan will be a trigger point, I think, to get this all started. As far as the United States and China and North and South Korea and Japan goes there in the Pacific. Those microchips from Taiwan is pretty much in everything. There's chips in your vehicles, all of your machinery pretty much anymore, computers, radios, cell phones, everything has those microchips. And if you cut those off, plus all the imports from China off, we're going to be screwed. And you're going to see, you think you have inflation now, it's going to be much, much worse. Because what causes inflation is more and more dollars in circulation, or at least causes hyperinflation. It's more and more dollars in circulation chasing fewer and fewer goods. So you have fewer and fewer goods in the United States because they're going to be importing nothing when this all breaks out in this World War III with China. So you're going to see massive, massive inflation here in the United States. You may see a draft in the United States. It's very possible. The border's going to remain open. You're going to see more terrorist attacks in here in the United States. You're going to see more crime here in the United States. It's going to be difficult to get the things you need to survive with when this happens. So you need to stockpile everything you can right now. Think of what you use on a daily basis. Write it down for a couple of weeks and go out and stockpile as much of that as you possibly can, because you're going to need it. If you think you might need a new cell phone, go buy a new cell phone, have the thing put back and ready to go. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work, because the cell towers and things could go out, and they use microchips also. So who knows how this is going to turn out. But you definitely want to stockpile food, water filters, tools, garden seeds, and things like that. Definitely, because you need that to survive on. Over-the-counter prescription medications, or over-the-counter medications, you want to stockpile prescription medications also if you can. Jace Medical has a good program. You can get antibiotics. You can get up to a year's supply of your prescription medications. You can go to Jace Medical and you can use the code Creekmore10, and get $10 off your order. So that's something right there, $10 off your order. Just use the code Creekmore10 to get a year's supply of prescription medications, to get antibiotics. Getting them now would be great, because most all of that is made in China. Why in the world would the United States allow something as critical as medications and antibiotics to be made in China? Why would the United States let Taiwan be the producer of 90% of the microchips in the world? Why wouldn't we been working on this for decades now, getting up to par to be able to make these things ourselves? Antibiotics, prescription medications, microchips. Why wouldn't the United States want to dominate that? Because there's more money to be made by having it done over there, importing it here, and selling it at higher dollar markups. It's all been all about profit. But now it's going to come back and bite us all right in the ass, in my opinion, very, very shortly. So stock up on everything you can stock up on, because you're going to need it, because this is going to pop loose, in my opinion, pretty quickly. Definitely before next year. Probably within a couple of months, more than likely. But it could be a few months, because they'll have to state the draft, in Europe, UK, Italy, France, Germany, what the state that draft has to get those young men trained to go die against Russia. So it'll take a few weeks there, basic training, boot camp, so they'll have to do all that. So you might have a few weeks here, maybe a couple of months to prepare, but it is coming, guys. Quit fooling yourself. It is coming, because what's happening is a war for hegemony. China wants it, the United States wants to keep it. And that's where we're at right now. So that's definitely, in my opinion, going to happen. So plan accordingly and get prepared. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore Matter, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.